fear has helped the human race to progress to where we are now, and knowing when to protect ourselves from danger is obviously essential. But when fear becomes irrational, it's not an advantage to our safety, and in the sporting context, it's not going to benefit our performance.
Yeah, and it actually makes absolutely no difference whether you're a weaker novice swimmer or someone on the opposite end of the spectrum who perhaps has swum their entire life and perhaps even competitively. This fear of the open water and swimming in the open water is not rational, and it is quite hard to understand, really. So actually there's some specific techniques and some coping mechanisms that can really help us to enjoy this experience of open water a little bit more, which we've got a number which we're going to share with you today. We're tried and tested to really crush those fears for you.
It's really helpful to remember that you can actually keep your head above the water when you're out of your depth without having to swim. Now, we all float to a different amount, but you add in a wetsuit and we're pretty much all going to be buoyant. And if you're in salty water, you'll find you're even more buoyant. But it's a good idea to practice just getting comfortable with floating and keeping your head above water when you're still in the shallow water, so you can actually stand if you need to. So start off by swimming a few strokes and then just flip over onto your back and just try and relax in that position. Imagine trying to push your stomach up to the sky, and that will help just lift your hips. And yes, you want to keep your head out, but not all of it, because as soon as you lift your head right up, your legs are going to sink. So try and put your head back and relax in that position, just keeping your face out of the water. But obviously if it's wavy, it's going to make it a little bit harder. And then have a play around with your breath. So take a deep breath in and you'll feel your lungs inflate, and it'll actually make you a little bit more buoyant in the water. Obviously you do need to let the air out, so you're going to feel yourself drop slightly, but play around with that and just start to feel as relaxed as you can. And adding in a little bit of very gentle leg kick when you're floating on your back will just help your legs to float as well. And before you head out into the deeper water, just practice this several times until you're nice and confident, so you know how to control yourself when you get into that deeper water.
Open water swimming can sometimes be beautifully clear, as we've got here in Vobster, but other times you can struggle to even see your hand entering the water. But even if it is lovely and clear, at some point, very often, you will lose sight of the bottom, and it's this big unknown that is drastically different to swimming in the pool, and it's something that we want to make sure we get used to. Now, this might sound very basic, but if you stand sort of shoulder depth in the water, submerge your head slowly into the water, and then start taking a look around, and start getting used to that feeling and the environment around you. Breathe out a little bit to help you relax, and this will really help you just get used to all that feeling of being under the water. But when you're actually swimming, you can very often see at least part of your arm, if not your whole arm, and your hand entering the water. So try and focus on this and the things that you can actually see.
Well, the next step from standing with your face in the water is actually having your body horizontal with your face in the water. So for this, just venture out where it's a little bit deeper, take a deep breath, and then lie face down. If you put your arms and legs out into a star position, it'll just help you float, and try and relax in that and look around so you're really familiar with your surroundings. And when you need to take a breath, simply stand up and get your breath back. And to progress this, you can actually use a snorkel, so then you can stay in that position for that much longer, and you can concentrate on just having a nice controlled breathing. And when you're relaxed in that position, just gently add in a little bit of leg kick, and when you're comfortable, you can then add your arms in as well.
Now, no matter how confident you are in the water, you should always have a buddy watching out for you from land, or better, actually in the water with you. But if you're actually a little bit nervous about open water swimming, then you could take this a step further and have a few friends swimming with you, because that feeling of safety in numbers can really help with your confidence when you're swimming in the open water. But also to help with this, actually by swimming in a group and focusing on keeping up with the other members of the group, tracking their feet, can also be a really nice distraction. Before you know it, you are happily swimming open water.
Well, there are some more specific distraction techniques that can work quite well in the open water. So think back to when you're training in the pool and you're trying to meet these really tough turnaround times. Well, your brain doesn't really have much chance of worrying about those dishes that you've not washed up at home, for example. So the same crosses over when you come to open water. Try and do some really strong efforts, and you'll find you're concentrating so hard on that fear will hopefully go out the window. Also, you could do this with concentrating on maybe a drill that you're doing, or on sighting, or maybe even counting your strokes. Anything that occupies your brain brain and doesn't let it have chance for your imagination to run away with you. And I don't know if there's any science behind this one, but it's something that I find if I'm swimming in cold water, then I actually have less chance to worry because I'm so concerned about trying to stay warm. Although if you could avoid cold water, I would still recommend that.
Now, for some, the fear of open water swimming may simply come from the fact you're in a vast open space and you're worried you might not be seen by other water users such as boats, kayaks, etc. So you want to make sure you can be seen, and that's where something like a swim float or a tow buoy can come in really handy. They're really easy just to blow up, attach around your waist and head off swimming. You won't even notice things there, all whilst being easily seen. And in addition to that, why not add in a nice brightly coloured hat?
Open water swimming conditions can vary drastically. You could have a completely calm, still, clear lake to swim in, or it could be choppy, murky seawater. Whatever it is, you need to get familiar with that and try to become relaxed in that environment. So say you've got a sea swim coming up. It's a good idea to try and head to the beach with a group of friends and just play around in the shallows and in the waves. Maybe try and catch some and do a bit of body surfing, and maybe even take out a bodyboard. Anything that just starts to get you familiar with those surroundings, so when it does come to race day, you'll be more prepared and more relaxed. Again, for flat water, just go and stand in the shallows. You can maybe even just play a game of ball or mess around with your friends, and you'll soon find that you're swimming in those conditions and not even noticing it. And then when it does come to pure swimming, that confidence should cross over. Sometimes there is just no logical reason to open water fear. As I know from my parents' frustration as a child, I was a competitive swimmer, very competent in the swimming pool, but take me to the lake or the open water, I actually didn't like going out of my depth, and there was no reasoning behind that. But it's something that I've had to work on, and I actually found that going scuba diving has helped me because it's just getting me to relax in the water. But it is such an individual thing, so you're going to need to experiment to find out what can help you.
And another factor with open water swimming is actually all those added bodies in the water. Unlike pool swimming, we don't have that 5-second or 10-second gap between you and the person in front of you. We also don't have those lane ropes that make sure we swim in a straight line. So you may end up bumping into another swimmer, which can be really quite off-putting, particularly if you're in the middle of a race. So we'd really suggest trying to replicate that situation and trying to swim in close proximity to some friends or training partners. And also just remind yourself that there'll be other people in the water that are feeling just the same as you. And actually anyone that bumps into you, more often than not, they're probably just as scared of you as you are of them.
Yeah, completely. Well, I think that leads us to say good luck, because being able to overcome your open water fear really is a game changer. Getting out from the chlorinated pool and into fresh or sea water is such an exhilarating feeling. It's also really good for your mental health. So if you've enjoyed this, give us a thumbs up, like, and hit the globe on the screen to subscribe to get all the videos here from GTN. And if you want to see a video on open water tips that's kind of tailored to racing, we've got a video on that just down here.
If you'd like to find out what you should be taking to an open water swim, you can see our open water swim kit list by clicking just down here.